This is going to be such a good one. We have Bryan Mirabella. Thanks for welcoming us into your home.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
I'm so excited. So you've been on, I know you don't like labels, you've been on a mostly fruit diet for I think 6 years. You're 56. I came in, I noticed your energy. You've got the energy of like a 20-year-old, I was saying. And you're an expert in breathing, which I love. I want to talk about sleep. Apparently, you guys, we're not supposed to be sleeping with our mouth open. I think we're supposed to tape it shut. There's certain ways we're supposed to keep our breathing going when we exercise. And you train, I know, like a lot of professional athletes or high-level athletes.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. And you guys, we're going to do a what he eats in a day video. So stay tuned for that next. So I first want to touch on the sleep thing. So we're not supposed to be sleeping with our mouth open.
Yes. If your mouth is open, that's already low-level signs of apnea, sleep apnea. Because your brain needs to have the right electrical output in order for the mouth to stay closed and the tongue to be on the roof of the mouth, which is neurological safety. So that's a normal posture. Lips together, tongue up, airway open. And when the mouth is open, it's because the brain is struggling. So it has to open the mouth as an emergency system because the nose isn't working.
And what percentage of people would you say sleep with their mouth open? Probably a lot, no?
That's a good question. I would say I've trained over 1,000 people in the last 8 years, and most of them tell me that they mouth breathe. Because they wake up with dry mouths. So I would say the percentage of mouth breathers at night is probably like 90%.
Okay, and so when we're asleep, we don't know if our mouth is open or closed, right? So how do we know, first of all, and how do we change it if we want it to be closed?
If you wake up with a dry mouth, your mouth is open. If you wake up during the night, because you're supposed to be able to sleep straight through the night. People go, oh, sometimes I need to pee. I'm like, no, you should be able to sleep straight through the night without waking up. That's what animals do. And you can tape your mouth, but it's a Band-Aid. So you use myotape from Oxygen Advantage. It goes around the lips. You don't cover your mouth because that's neurological. It's not about vomiting or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's a neurological, more effective if we go tape around the mouth.
Yeah.
So Oxygen Advantage makes a great tape called 𝒔𝒂𝒗𝒆.com. So I highly recommend that. But it's a stopgap. So then you teach people how to re-energize their brain, their cranial nerves. And then over time, as the nerves start to resequence themselves and gain more energy, the mouth will naturally go back to being closed, tongue will stay up, and then you go back to being a natural nose breather while you're sleeping, which means you're going to have a higher heart rate variability when you sleep, your respiratory rate's going to be slower, and you're going to have deeper rest. So you're going to have more deep sleep, which is recovery.
Which is important, right?
Is the most important.
Yeah, so talk about that for a minute. And do you tape your mouth?
I have to.
You do?
Yep, because when I was 35 years old, the dentist told me that my wisdom teeth were impacted, but yet they caused me no pain. If you look at pictures of me when I was 26, I had a beautifully wide jaw, and they took them out for no reason.
Oh my God, this topic gets me so heated. They do this so often now. It's crazy.
And
no way.
know.
And when you just don't know better, you're just like, okay, just do it, right?
So it narrowed my jaw.
Yeah.
It made it harder for my tongue to stay up, and then it collapses your airway. So I'm probably going to have to sleep with mouth tape for the rest of my life, even though I train my brain on a daily basis and I do breathing exercises.
So you think those teeth being out, that's part of the reason you sleep with your mouth
Yes.
open? Maybe that's why I do too, because my wisdom teeth were out and orthodontics, they took out teeth. And I just took my daughter for a braces consultation and they want to take out teeth and I'm like, okay, we'll wait on this.
Canada has an incredible website called RIGHT, R-I-G-H-T, to grow, T-O grow.com. And they do not let that happen. So there's a big movement in Canada to make sure that they don't take out teeth for children.
Yeah.
RightToGrow.com.
Yeah, because I've been researching and all the things have been coming up, like you said, and I had a bad experience with it. Like it can make your face more narrow, it can affect your breathing, your tongue placement, and it's just weird.
Your teeth are batteries.
Yeah.
And they're attached to your cranial nerves, your brainstem. Because cranial nerve number 5, which is the largest nerve in your body, controls every single tooth. So if you take out that tooth, you've now lost capacitors. And I have missing teeth too. But I had a lot of teeth missing when I was a kid because I was raised on processed foods and my mom didn't even breastfeed me. So I lost all that ability. So
Me
at 56,
too, yeah.
I'm trying to stop it from getting worse and continue to work on trying to maintain a larger airway.
Yeah, so I mean, if something like that's happened, all we can do is the best that we're working with, right? So that's why you're taping it up. So you notice, so then what does taping it up do? Like, what are you preventing from happening by doing that?
Your mouth from opening, so your tongue stays up, so your airway stays more open. because you have to breathe in your nose. Your nose has 30 functions, your mouth, 30 functions for breathing, your mouth has 0. It's an emergency system. As soon as the mouth opens, the body thinks it's in distress, and that includes exercise. So if you're running and you inhale through your nose and out your mouth because you think that's the more effective way to do it, that's not true.
So is the body is more stressed if we are,
Yes.
if our mouth is open?
Yes, and
Really?
of course, people keep going. They will push through it, but that's the body, the brain telling you, I'm not in shape enough to do this, so I have to open my mouth. But people are taught to open their mouth, breathe out at least through the mouth. Inhale through the nose and out through the mouth, but the brain is saying, you're killing me, slowly.
Wow, that's like, I saw your reel, you did a reel on Instagram that went pretty viral, saying when we run, we're not supposed to be like, like that. So it's pretty hard though, just to
Yeah.
breathe through your nose, no?
Well, if your brain, if your cranial nerves have the right energy, then you will have an open airway. So then what you do, how you get better is each time you run a little bit faster, but you maintain nasal breathing. And when you can't maintain nasal breathing, you slow down. But most people think that they have to push themselves to get in better shape. But when you push yourself and you have to breathe harder or gasp for air, you're actually not getting in better shape. You know, when I was growing up, one in high school and one in elementary school, they had fathers. My friends had fathers, and both of them died of heart attacks, and both of them were avid runners. And it's because they were mouth breathing.
No
So
way,
they wound up
Bryan.
having a heart attack because when you mouth breathe, you lose carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is a vasodilator, which opens the arteries. And when you breathe through your mouth, your arteries constrict and you get less oxygen to your muscles and tissues. Therefore, your heart muscles are going to get constricted and you're at risk for stroke or heart attack. And we all have this risk, but some of us are going to not be afflicted by it. Some of us are going to have other diseases. Professor 𝒔𝒂𝒗𝒆, who's the godfather of pulmonology, he said over 200 related issues that the medical establishment will say are issues. He said they're all breathing issues. If you learn to breathe through your nose, you'll never have these issues again in
This
your
is
life.
mind-blowing to me. So even when I'm sitting here talking to you, lots of times my mouth is just like open a little bit. So should that not be? I should always have it closed when I'm like just...
Well, I think in an interview, sometimes, you know, you can also, I mean, yes, but you can also, you know, your life has to coincide with the environment you're in. So if you're having a discussion and you're like, right, that's okay. I mean, like, you're going to be appropriately responding to the environment, but then you go back to
Closed.
closed mouth.
So if we're not talking and not expressing ourselves, it should be closed.
Yes.
Wow, okay. I'm open a lot. This is not good, Bryan. What's gonna, oh, well, we gotta turn this around. So it's a
Well,
real practice, right?
you're a raw
But if it's
foodist.
natural, it shouldn't be such a practice, I feel like, right?
But it becomes unnatural because when the more you do it, your respiratory center is in your brain stem, the medulla oblongata, and that's your primal brain. It's literally who you are as an energy light body. So you're establishing a bad habit by allowing it to happen, so then your brain only knows, well, this is how I breathe. This is normal for me. But energetically and physiologically and chemically, it's not good for you. You will be losing vitality over time.
And can this lead to like aging and other different things too?
Like I was telling you off camera, I know somebody who's been fruitarian their entire lives. And yet, when I started to assess their breathing and watch how they breathe, they were not breathing well at all, even though they've been raw their whole life. But their breathing mechanism was actually quite not good.
Maybe trauma and stuff can affect our breathing
Bingo.
too, right?
Bingo, I didn't even want to get into that, but if you get hit in the head, if you have a skiing accident, you fracture your hip or your leg, that's trauma, and that's going to create an energy deficiency in the cranial nerves. And we need to be able to switch those circuits back on. And there are ways to switch them back on. I teach people how to switch those circuits back on. So then after a traumatic event, whether it be emotional or physical, you can actually use techniques to reestablish the brain to recreate this neural synchronicity that goes back to what we call natural function, which is breathing through your nose.
Okay, so because even emotional trauma, that can affect our breathing too, right? I know that has
Absolutely.
with me, and then we're just doing shallow breathing and that's
Yeah.
not good. So
Right.
what's the ideal breathing? Like, take us through.
The ideal breathing pattern would be to not breathe more than 6 breaths in a minute at rest. So science will say, well, the perfect breath is breathe in for 5 and out for 5. But that's not true. And I know it's all over PubMed. That's how I learned. But some people are going to be breathing in much faster for 5 seconds. And when you breathe in faster, that can still be hyperventilation, even though you're using a rhythm to do it. But what I teach people is when we reestablish cranial nerve function, breathing restores itself, so we don't have to sit there and train breathing in for 5 and out for 5. We're actually going to be breathing in maybe for 3. We're going to have a natural pause at the top of the inhale. So think about it. If you breathe in for 5 and out for 5, that's not a natural breath. Because when you inhale, there's a transition. The lungs are increasing. So when you get to 5 seconds, it takes a second to go in the opposite direction. So that second is not a holding of the breath. It's a pausing sensation to then be able to start the exhale. And the exhale has to leave the body naturally and effortlessly. And when you get to the end of the 5, there should also be a natural pause. Every breath should have a pause at the top and a pause at the bottom. But science is telling people in for 5, out for 5. In my world, that's slight hyperventilation.
So when people do it properly and they make all these changes, do they notice any differences or no? You're
Yeah.
just doing preventative measures.
Brain fog goes away.
Wow.
Mental clarity increases. I just gave a podcast talk on the Oxygen Advantage YouTube channel to all the newest instructors and to 5,000 people in their 5K nasal run challenge on Facebook. And they were just blown away. They never heard information like that before, because I'm coming at breathing from a top-down approach, which is the bioelectrics, because biophotons, right? When you eat fruit, you're getting biophotons, and when you breathe, you're getting pranic energy, right? Because we're actually technically breatharian. We're not frugivore. We went from light beings to frugivores because we started eating figs and fruits. You know, once we started to densify our body, we started to grow the organs related to digestion. That's why none of them are major. They're redundant. They correspond with a major organ, but none of the 5 major organs have anything to do with digestion, because we are breatharian in nature. There's many breatharians in India and China. People who haven't eaten for 70 years.
It's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't even need to drink.
Would that be your
because
ultimate? Like,
I don't know that I could ever get to that. I would have to live in like Thailand or Indonesia. I'd have to be on fruit for quite a long time.
yeah, not right in New York.
It's going to be much harder in New York to do it. Plus, I'm not breathing in clean air in New York.
Yeah. You know what, though, I gotta say, New York's my favorite city, and it's so easy to be healthy here.
Yeah, you can.
People say, I hear
because you
people
have the
say
op-
it's so hard to be healthy in New York.
Yeah.
No, so much good fruit, so much good produce.
Yeah,
Green juices everywhere,
Yeah.
coconuts everywhere. So
Yeah.
I think it's great.
yeah. Wait till we get to the the food section of this talk,
I'm excited.
and I'll show you, because New York has everything.
Yeah, and
You
you've been
know?
on a mostly fruit lifestyle for about 6 years. So how has that changed your life?
Yeah, I've been raw now over 6.5 years.
Wow.
And really quickly, because I've told this story before, maybe even our last podcast, 8 years ago, I was told by a high-level acupuncturist that my organs were failing, because I grew up not on breast milk, on formula. My mom smoked all through pregnancy. I was under tremendous amounts of stress because I grew up in the Bronx. New York City was broke. We were on welfare. And I started drinking at 13 years old. All of this is bad for you.
Imagine, like my daughter's that age. It's just so young to think now,
Yeah.
right?
You absorb everything as a porous sponge. You don't get clean unless you're completely on a raw diet. So I was ingesting all these chemicals. And then at 29, I had a shotgun wedding. I lost that marriage. And then I started doing drugs. And I'm totally open about that.
And that's good. It's relatable, right?
Yeah, I did drugs for 10 years, all through the 90s. So all of that destroyed my organs. So by the time I was 46, plus the stress of being a wrestler and exercising all the way, every workout had to be hard, I was draining my vitality.
By doing those hard workouts?
Yeah.
See, people think it's a good thing, right? But
Yeah.
maybe not always.
And by all the amphetamines I was doing
Oh, yeah.
at partying in nightclubs. And so I was told that I would have a heart attack. I was a candidate to have a heart attack in my 60s. And now, 8 years later, my acupuncturist, who's a Chinese master, Qigong master, he's been doing acupuncture for 50 years here in Chinatown, he said, what you've done with your organs is nothing short of remarkable. I've never seen anything like it. I didn't know it was possible. When you came to me, if this is 100% kidney function, you were in sub-basement level 8. So
way to go, Bryan, for turning things around.
Yeah.
Because imagine you didn't. Who knows where you'd be, you know, if you were still in the drugs and
live
stuff.
a long and healthy life.
And like I said, you've got such great energy, you know, like that's the key. Your energy is just, and youthfulness. You look great too.
Right. I was going bald. I grew back my hair. And he said, you're now regaining primordial chi energy because your kidneys have healed themselves. So we can heal. We can heal. But it takes patience, dedication, and discipline because you don't want to give up your habits. And I had to give up all of my habits.
And you had a lot, I think.
And I had a lot.
And how long did it take you to give those up and to feel good?
It took me a year to get off meat, but that was 13 years ago. So I've been flesh-free now for 13 years. So, you know, you don't need protein.
Amazing.
My secret ingredient is marine phytoplankton.
Yeah, that's right.
I know people who, you know, on raw food lifestyles, they don't believe in it, but the reason we have fruit trees on Earth is because of phytoplankton, because it's the first organism. So it has all of the essential amino acids, which means my body makes its own protein. I don't have to ingest protein. When we get to the foods, you'll see sometimes at night I eat nuts and stuff. Not because I want protein, because I get bored of eating fruit all day.
Yeah, you want something different.
And I want to break the fat. I want to break the detox because it can be severe.
Because you were saying too, if we just, well, we can talk about the food stuff too.
But these are all things, you know, that need to be talked because it's a very all-encompassing thing when you really need, when you're trying to get healthy, there's a lot of variables that go into it. And I've been doing it now for such a long time. I'm seeing it from a much larger view than I even was a year ago when we talked, because now I have a year of brain training underneath me.
Brain training? Like what? Take us through.
Cranial nerves.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to reestablish the master switchboards of your body. So you have 12 cranial nerves, 12 on each side, and they're batteries. And every time you have emotional traumas, or you get hit in the head, or you break something, you lose switchboards. And
no way.
Yeah, and you lose brain function. And that's why we age, it's why we dry out, it's why our mouth starts to open. But all of it can be reversed. I didn't stop eating animals for my health. I mean, for the animals, I did it for my health. But now I would never hurt another sentient being. Bugs come into my house. I try to catch them. I try to release them. I'm not killing them. We had an epidemic of these flies in New York City, and the news was telling everybody to step on them because they're an invasive species. I was not stepping on any of them. They're actually very beautiful, but
it does that to us. Just makes you more loving, compassionate when you do the raw foods. And how has raw foods changed your life? How else have they changed your life?
It helped me to clean my tissues, which allowed my organs to clean themselves. Because the body, the fruits aren't healing you. What they're doing is they're not creating mucus, extra mucus, and they don't require insulin. So they allow you to be in a detox state. So then your lymphatic system will naturally start to pull all of the acids out on its own. So the herbs help to heal you. They push on the cells, they push on the tissues, so it unlocks the toxins. But ultimately, your body is healing itself. What you're trying to do is get out of that way. So by eating a raw food lifestyle, you're allowing your body to process all of the toxins that are in your body. And the raw food has allowed me to heal my organs. Because it happened in a year. He told me this a year later. So within a year, I had taken my organs from sub-basement level 8 to, if this is 100%, he said, you're at 90. He said, that's why you're re-energizing your primordial energy. You're getting, cellularly, he said, you're getting younger.
It's the raw foods, because you don't think you could have done that without the raw foods, right? With a different type of lifestyle, with eating cooked food.
But I will tell you, I've worked with many people who are overweight who don't want to do that because people know I eat raw food, but they'll just come to me for breathing. And I can still improve their life exponentially, even though they don't want to go raw, because it's different. The raw foods are cleaning out the interstitial space, which is your lymphatic system, but the raw foods are not changing the cranial nerves. Those need to be repatterned, resequenced, and re-energized. So there's two components to the nervous system one raw food can't touch. That's why my friend who's been a raw foodist her whole life was still breathing pretty poorly when we started working together.
Interesting. But I feel like in a lot of cases, raw foods can affect your breathing for the better, right? Because I have noticed since being raw, like my breathing feels so much better. Whereas like even for instance, this year, both my parents passed away and it's been a lot of stuff happening. And then a few times when they passed away and stuff, I was having Chipotle, different things I never have. And then right away I would notice like my breathing felt all clogged up.
Sure. But what you were experiencing, we should talk about this, the emotional trauma is the stress and the shock. So this is a shock. When then you get hurt, we go, we don't breathe in through the nose, we gasp.
True.
So you were living in a gasping state because both of your parents were transitioning. So you were locked in a fight or flight state, which repatterned your brain to think it's safe to breathe through my mouth because it was the only way you could. So now you have to learn to breathe back through your nose in order to reestablish a better habit. But you were locked in a fight or flight state and you were gasping. So mouth breathing means you're kind of living in a gasping state. So when you're running, you're gasping by breathing in and out through your mouth, or when you're in the gym, you're gasping all the time. So your brain thinks you're in autonomic distress.
I mean, that makes sense. You know, running out of breath, your mouth's open. It does make sense. Your brain would think that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is fascinating to me. I'm learning so much. And any other facts you think that we don't know about breathing that are big, important things? Or what's maybe the biggest thing you've ever discovered on the...
Well, I was the worst breather I've ever worked with in 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I haven't met anybody who had more issues than I did. And that's given me the wisdom to work with hundreds and if not 1,000 people and be able to see what their nervous systems are like and to give, because everyone's really unique. I mean, I can teach in a class setting, but everyone's going to present their own puzzle. You know, I don't teach breath work, even though I have to use that on my Instagram because of the search engine optimizations.
Yeah.
It's the most searched word for breathing, so you got to use breath work. But I'm a restorative breathing coach. So I teach people how to breathe naturally, how to restore their natural breath. Therefore, you reorganize your body to breathe in a natural state, which is what we call natural function. So you're learning to breathe, you're learning what dysfunctional breathing patterns you may have, and then you're overcoming them. And once you learn how to breathe, you can't unlearn. So now it's with you forever.
That's good.
I just worked with a man today, a beautiful young 30-year-old man in Turkey, and you know, his nervous system is fried. And he's like, Bryan, just this session alone, and all we did was 90 minutes of an assessment. He's like, you're right. I didn't know anything. You're teaching me. And you're right. I'm hearing more about it. Now I'm thinking about living my life the way I was living, and everything you're saying makes so much sense. And I'm like, oh, that's why that was happening. That's why that was happening. This is why this was happening.
That's great. So you can coach people right online.
Yeah, I can do it easily through the computer.
Okay, so I'll put all that down below. Yeah.
Thanks.
Wow, fascinating. Okay, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to get into the food aspect because you're really, like I said, vibing high, so much energy, looking great, you know so much, and you're very intelligent, very sharp, very quick, no brain fog. And so I want to hear what you're eating. So
Yeah.
we'll step into that next.
I have a really good friend that I just spent the 3 weeks with on my vacation, and he's very, very smart, intellectual, publisher for 40 years. And he said, you've gotten smarter. He's like, I listen to your videos and I'm just blown away. He's like, you don't stutter. And you know how people will talk and they'll be like, their brain they know what they want to say, but it doesn't come out. And it's not like a real stutter, but there is sometimes people go, they know what they want to say, but there's a disconnect in the neural function that doesn't allow the mouth to vocalize and tone the words. And that's what's gotten better on me. I can now just stream consciousness. And I don't call it downloads. They're realizations. There's no downloading happening. It's just realizations. So the higher you vibe, the more realizations you have because all of the energy is already there.
Well said.
So Tesla said you're tapping in. You're not downloading anything. Your brain's a receiver. You know those little balls you put your fingers on and you see the zapping go to your fingers? You're exchanging information, so you're having realizations because they're already in the ether. So I'm able to speak and communicate without stuttering, and it comes across in a much more relatable way for people, I think.
Absolutely.
Because I've already been through the bottom. I was at the bottom of the barrel, and that's what people like to hear. That's why I tell the truth, because you know, you have to tell the truth about where you came from.
Exactly. I mean, we all go through stuff. Any advice for somebody watching who might be going through a hard time right now and isn't, you know, elevated to where you're at, but they want to get there, but they're still hooked and addicted to things, whether food, drugs, alcohol, bad relationships?
Well, the advice would be to seek out somebody who you trust, where the information it resonates for you. And then you're always discerning information. I'm not even teaching people. I'm not your teacher. I'm just sharing information that you don't know. I don't want to be anybody's teacher because I don't want to be above them. I'm actually just sharing I'm sharing information with a very intelligent nervous system that already knows everything anyway. I'm just helping them to facilitate their own healing. So the thing for people like that is to find a group or an instructor that you resonate with, that you believe, okay, they've been through what I've been through, and I want to go to them because I feel like they can help guide me. Because those are usually more compassionate people too.
True. And okay, so I interviewed a doctor recently, and he said he studies Alzheimer's. He said the #1 cause of Alzheimer's is a lack of deep sleep over the long term. And so I would think too that maybe breathing properly in our sleep would maybe help prevent that, right? Because if we're breathing with our mouth open, we're not breathing properly, maybe we're not having a good enough deep sleep, then it could possibly lead to stuff like that.
Absolutely. Sleep is a rhythm in the brain, specifically in the pons. So if you've had physical or emotional trauma, that region of the brain could have been affected, and now you can't get into deep sleep because your brain doesn't know how to slow down. It's locked in a fight or flight. It's locked in shock. So then you're going to open your mouth. You're not going to get oxygen to your brain, and plaque is going to accrue. And then the lymphatic system in the brain, which is the tissues that help to clean the acids out of the brain, are going to collect, and people are going to get dementia and Alzheimer's.
And that's scary. That is scary stuff that we don't want.
Yeah, because once that happens, it's almost impossible to reverse, because those people don't even have enough energy to try to do better, because they can't. They just don't have enough energy to try to eat fruit all day, and they're like, oh, I just want to eat the way I want to eat. It's almost impossible.
And the food does a lot, right? The food we eat, every single thing we eat has a big impact, right? Yeah.
So that's why I don't get upset at myself if I eat a cooked food every now and then, because one meal's not going to hurt me. If I know my organs are in good shape through Chinese medicine, then I can eat a cooked meal if I go out, and I can have some vegetables. I mean, that's all I'm going to eat. So to me, that's a step down, is eating cooked vegetables. Right? That's as far as I'll go. But once you do it once, you go right back to eating, you're going to be fine. Right? I mean, is there a difference? People are like, oh, the human body can live to 125. Well, what's the difference if you live to 100 or 125?
True.
It's about being present now. So I want to be healthy now. I want to be more present now. I used to say, oh, I want to live longer because I thought I was a candidate for a heart attack. So then I was like, oh, it's to live longer. But no, it's to live healthy now. That's all that matters.
Wow, well said. Okay, and I'm going to get this tape. Does it hurt when you take it off in the morning?
No, actually, it's
really?
really good, yeah.
Okay,
it's really
and you
good.
use it every night?
I have to. Because if I sleep on my back, my mouth is going to open, which means I'm going to snore.
And it doesn't bother you sleeping with it?
No, it's really kind of great. And now if I sleep on my side, even without the tape, it used to be even on my side, my mouth open. But now on my sides, my mouth stays closed. Or on my stomach. But it's on my back because of the jaw being not as wide as it used to be. It falls open.
Okay, I'm going to try this. All right, well, this has been amazing. So much information that I didn't know. So interesting, so inspiring to get us just breathing better, eating better, sleeping better, living our best life.
Yes.
And that's what this channel is all about. And Bryan's living his best life. So I'm really excited to find out what he eats next. We're going to hop in the kitchen. So be sure to subscribe for that. If the video is already out, I will pop it on the screen right now. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.